back at the Prelude. Weird, right? It's kind of not normal with us. But we're picking up from where we were, which is nice because parts are starting to show up. I took the thermostat off so I can get those pieces, but this is something that we're taking off. This will be cut off. I'm going to be grinding this off too because we're going to be putting this in a different location. It might be just like a bend from here. It might be a different point, but we're going to take that off. And then on this one, I haven't quite decided, but we don't need this anymore. So I can literally grind most of that away. This is coming out, this is coming out, this is coming out. That way we can, you know, do everything with that. And this isn't going to be a high point on the car anymore. So we don't need that bleeder anymore. This is going to stay here. The bottom's pretty much the same. It's just all this stuff that you see from the top we're going to get rid of as much as we can to make it look cleaner. I might do that just because it was facing like this. I've gotten the thermostat mostly ground down to where I want it. I just got to weld up some stuff. And then while I was doing this as well, because, you know, like I said, we got rid of a lot of these little ears and whatnot. You'll see the old or how it started out. And then I went and did some pie cuts, which if you're curious, we have a whole pie cut video and that's what I made. But this is going to be the tube that comes off of it. And so that's going to go on. That way it's out of the way of the intercooler pipe. And then we've got the dash 16 AN line that we're going to be putting up there. And this is going to be our new fan switch. So generally it would have been here, which is in the way of all that. So I think I'm going to do some massaging on either this or the actual housing. And we're going to put it in angled back this way because underneath it is the shifter cables. So this is just an area of everything's in the way. The AC condenser did show up. Hopefully this video, we'll see if I get it on. And then another thing that we're going to be working on since we're doing coolant stuff is this. So this is actually from Track Tuft. It's a swirl pot, which if you don't know what a swirl pot is, it's essentially, we're going to put a radiator cap on top of it, which they have all of that here. So this is for the radiator cap. This is for the reservoir and whatnot, which I do have a dash 4 adapter here, so we'll probably be doing that. And then this is the bottom and the top. This is actually the entire tube, which granted, it is decently tall, but it is just a tube. So before I put anything together, if we want to make it a little shorter, we can. And then they send us these lines, and these are so that it can wrap onto the tube. And the reason why they call it a swirl pot is essentially because coming into it from the head will be like that, and then coming out of it will be like that. Or is it into it? It's out of it. And so essentially, as the water pump and RPM and everything push it, it'll swirl in here. That way it also has a little bit of extra time to cool off, and then it'll exit. And we also have a dash 16 fitting for that end because we're going to be putting the lines on. So this is the line that we got. It's actually called PTFE. It's a special one. And so these are the fittings that we're going to be putting on. And out of the swirl pot is going to be a 90 degree. And then out of our thermostat hose is going to be a straight. All right, I got one line done. And I did it because, well, it wasn't too hard to figure out. But I know that I'll be able to show you how to do it on the next line. But I'm going to show you how I ran it and essentially what it's going to look like. And then that way we can get it to where I know the rest of it will fit around it, because I want to make sure that this line doesn't interfere with everything that has to go to that. So as you can see, coming off of here, snaking down, and then going into the radiator. So I like how this looks. With that, I do have the, where's it, the coupler piece? Or the, not the coupler piece, elbow. So we went with a cast aluminum elbow. That way when I put it on, I can weld the quick disconnects to this, and I'm gonna have it up here. And as you can see, well, I guess you can't really see it from there. It's better. The line, or the radiator hose, is going to be lower than the intercooler piping. So that was the goal here. The only thing is going to be where this stuff goes, and how this line runs from the swirl pot. So the next thing is to get this fitted on here and the swirl pot in a happy spot for the second one of these to come out that goes to our radiator hoses. I'm gonna put on one fitting for you guys so that you know how it does, how it happens, but you don't need to see me do all of this, and shooting it myself is annoying. So when Steve comes back, he can film me doing all of it. But so essentially with the line, right, we have the line here, and then from the plastic on the inside, you have to separate the steel braided line, because there's the nylon line on the outside with the black, and then there's a metal steel braided line on the inside. So essentially right now we have to separate it. So I got the pick in there. You want to pick one that's not going to gouge the plastic, and you just kind of free up a gap in between the plastic, the inner plastic, and the stainless steel outer section. So that gap is freed for this metal piece that goes inside of the entire connector. And so that piece goes around the plastic here. And then inside, you can see the plastic is now shoved up against this piece here. So I actually forgot to do it right now, but this you want to put on the line first. However, I don't have a fitting on the other side of the line, so I can just slide it on from that side. But if you don't do that, you'll have to take that silver piece back out. So that's there. This is the piece that you should have on first. And then this shoves in there, and you got to make sure that you don't catch any of the inner plastic on the lip here. It is tapered. You can kind of see the taper there. But so you want to get it in there nice, and then this piece screws on to this piece, and they just crush together. And that's what that metal piece is in here for, so that it also gets the plastic piece fitted, and that's how it holds the extra pressure that it is rated for, because this is rated for, like, I don't remember the pressure, but I know it's 450 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 65 degrees is the opposite end of what this line is rated for. The pressure on this is way more than the radiator system is going to take, because the radiator system, I'd say worst case scenario, we'll see like 18 psi. So this will be more than efficient for it. There we go. All right, I'm gonna screw that together, but that's about it. So I got that one fitting done, right? The one that I showed you how to do these. And now I'm working on shaping the line. Because if you use PTFE AN line, it doesn't flex easily, right? It'll kink because it's got that inner plastic thing that we had to work around to get the fitting on, right? So essentially I'm sitting here with a heat gun, because it's the other thing too, the curve that I have right here actually can't happen on the other side without heat. So the heat just allows it to be flexible, and then when it cools down, it stays in that position. Actually, when you start heating this up, after it's been sitting at it for a while, or you've been heating up for a while, you'll see it start to straighten out, because it's got that curve to it, so it wants to be straight, but we don't want it to be straight. So I'm sure it'll like mold and be a little bit better once it's up to temp and coolant is running and all that stuff, but I don't want it to be kinked before that. So I'm trying to get this to start to curve and bend more with this one. And we're gonna have the fitting, this guy, we're gonna have this fitting sitting off right about there. That way the line will go down against it, and I'll just be welding everything onto the tube there, right? but I need to get this line bent there so that I know it can actually go there. It is just me again, you know, I just like to complain. That's really it. So Steve's not here, you're gonna hear me complain about it. You're not gonna see most of this because I can't hold the camera and do all this. And my other guys gotta make me money. So I like money. We should just keep making money. When Steve gets here, we'll get more filming on, but money. Here we are. I got this, the upper line ran. So it's kind of sitting roughly where I think I might want it. Not 100% sure on exactly how this is going to go. I did mark this so that I have a better reference to just quickly put it back on. Now I'm going to trim this other piece because it's super long. That way it can be, you know, the opposite side of the piece, but it depends on what angle I have to route everything. But I need to trim it anyways to help me figure out where it needs to be.
We got it. Well, Prelude progress has stopped because we got fucking AC.
We have two of these, so there'll be one here and one over in the corner.
We're doing a super professional OSHA approved install.
OSHA, never heard of her.
Clearly, you see our anti-theft mounting that we figured out here.
Anti-theft is when we wheel the welder out here.
Yeah.
Should be nicer in the shop.